And we are just about a year away from the first FIFA World Cup match at BC Place on June 18th. And this week, the province revealed new estimates, up to $624 million to host 7 games next year. That would be split between the province, Vancouver, and Pavco, the Crown Corporation that runs BC Place. For its part, FIFA estimates that the event will generate close to $1.7 billion in economic spin-offs for the province. We're joined now by Spencer Chandra Herbert, BC's Minister for Tourism, Arts, Culture and Sport. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, Amy.
So tell us about how these new estimates of between 532 and 624 million last year, the costs were estimated to be between 483 and 581 million. So why the increase?
Yeah, there's been a change. We've had a bit of an increase in terms of security costs. Obviously, if you're hosting the World, if you're hosting 350,000 soccer fans coming to your jurisdiction during the World Cup, there's going to be security costs. And so that's really the reflection of the increased cost side. But I think what's got missed is the increased revenue side. We're seeing stronger returns on tourism, investment, more people coming, more interest in the games than we'd initially thought. And all that leads to is higher tax revenues from the hotels that will help pay for the games. So really what we're talking about, I think in the end, people want to know what the provincial tax load could be. And we're looking at a $85 million to about $145 million cost. But I think you're right, there's the benefit. We're looking at $1 billion plus in terms of increased tourists, increased investment in the province. FIFA estimates $1.7 billion. So if you're looking at 85 to $145 million cost, and then a $1 billion to $1.7 billion economic return, I think we're doing pretty good for the province here.
We had Moshe Lander, a senior economics lecturer from Concordia University, on the program yesterday, and I just want you to listen to what he had to say about the cost-benefit estimates.
The benefits aren't substantial to Vancouver for a few reasons. One, the high tourist season for Vancouver is exactly when the World Cup would take place. So given that Vancouver and the greater Vancouver area are not building new hotels specifically because of the World Cup, then any tourist that's coming in for these games is going to displace an existing tourist that would normally be coming in for some other purpose, say a cruise ship or just a natural tourist that's coming to Vancouver. So part of looking at the net economic benefits is not just saying, hey, look at all of these tourists that come for the games, but look at all of these tourists that come for the games minus all of the tourists that will not be coming now because the games are here. So that reduces the overall economic benefits substantially, not quite to zero, but pretty close to it.
Okay.
And then add to it the amount of local population that is going to race out of town, much like they did during the Winter Olympics, because they don't want to be around the chaos that comes with trying to make sure these events go off in a safe and secure way. That itself then reduces the benefits even further. So there is just no way that there's going to be $1 billion worth of economic benefits. I think that the decimal is massively in the wrong spot to the right.
And Minister, how do you respond? We don't have trouble filling up our hotels or our restaurants during the summer. So
I think the economist kind of misses the point, though. I think this isn't all predicated on the idea of tourism during 1 month.
Okay.
This is about for years post games. If you're fighting for eyeball space, fighting for attention space in the globe, you could spend hundreds and hundreds of $millions on advertising. Probably you'd have to spend a whole lot more than we're currently spending on World Cup to generate the same interest in our jurisdiction, to get in front of people for hours at a time as they watch the game. It's an ongoing tourism advertisement during the game. And what that means is that people will see it, and the thought is, and this is certainly what happened during the Olympics, which the economist might have been opposed to as well, that we had a huge response in terms of more people coming to visit our province, not just once, but 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, bringing their investment dollars. And so that's really what it is. It's about, sure, having 350,000 soccer fans come to Vancouver during World Cup is great. Having people come from across Canada to come to experience that energy is going to be great. But really, this is about a first step to a calling card to say we're a safe jurisdiction. You want to be here. And we think that's what will happen post-game. Certainly our tourism folks, the people that actually put their own dollars into this through hotels and so on, they wouldn't be saying we shouldn't invest in this if it wasn't going to generate the tourism benefit, if it wasn't going to create the tourism jobs and help our restaurants and hotels, and not just in Vancouver, but across BC, because really people will come to Vancouver and then they'll head off to the island, they'll head to the north, they'll get into the interior, into the Okanagan. We've seen it happen before, and I think we will again with World Cup.
I suppose I've heard the argument been made. It's an advertisement for Vancouver. It's a way to entice people to come to Vancouver. But to a certain degree, was that not accomplished? Say when we had Expo 86, when we have hosted the Olympics. It's not like there's many people in the world that don't know of Vancouver and haven't been exposed to it on some level. So I'm just curious how they forecast
I guess
those.
I'd say that there's a whole lot of people who've been born since Expo 86. A whole lot of people who
No, and I do understand that,
are out
but
in the tourism world since 2010. And I don't think you can say to the world you're invited once and then stop inviting them. I think that's why you have to do aggressive marketing, and it's both the tourism marketing, but it's through using events as well. We had the Invictus Games, another great way to invite people in.
Well, and that was the question that I wanted to ask as well. Then, as you mentioned, you kind of have to keep advertising it. So, at what point does the benefit not remain? Like, is this something that we have to keep doing, keep hosting these expensive events, and keep putting so much money into them to reap those benefits?
Well, I think sometimes you have to spend a penny to make a pound, so to speak. And I think in this case, if you're looking at spending $85 to $145 million in net core cost for the province, and then you bear that out with the growth in tourism and the growth in interest and investment, because that's the other thing, is a lot of people will come here first as a tourist. Destination BC, our provincial tourism marketer, shows that once you come once, you tend to come up to 3 more times. And often that leads to investment. I don't know how many of your listeners have first arrived to BC as a tourist and then later decided, oh, I actually want to set down roots here. We're finding that a lot with doctors right now, folks who've come up and explored, had an initial tourism experience, and now are coming and setting up their medical practices here. It's about being visible in the world market, and I think any other jurisdiction would want the kind of exposure we're going to get for World Cup, and that's why so many fought to try and win it.
There are a lot of cities like Montreal that don't want to take part in international sporting events, though, because of the risk of unexpected cost overruns, and to a certain degree, once you agree to host something with a powerful organization like FIFA, you give up a bit of control over how much those overruns could end up being.
I guess, when you control the venue, like, BC Place, that's our main venue. We needed to do upgrades anyways. We would have been spending the money we're spending now for World Cup on that stadium without World Cup, because is poorly accessible. The change in the facilities were substandard. There were no private showers in the facility. It also didn't work really well beyond being a sporting venue. And now we're going to, because of the investments we're making for World Cup, we're going to be able to use it as a convention venue as well, and a multifunctional venue. So again, generating more revenue for the public in a space that was empty at that time. So we've really tried to maximize community benefit while also getting the broader benefit we're going to get from hosting the World Cup.
And I know there are some people that are concerned, particularly that the unhoused will be displaced with FIFA coming here. What sort of preparations are underway to ensure that everyone is included in the benefits of hosting an event like this?
I'd say that right now we're invested in the largest housing program in BC's history, investing in the largest expansion in low-income and middle-income housing we've ever seen in this province. So working to get people off the street, working to get folks who are, moving couch surfing into better, more secure housing. So there's more action than we've seen in a long time. That doesn't mean there still aren't problems, but, there were old governments who would say, just look the other way. Our government wants to make sure that folks do get inside because we know it's better for them and it's better for our communities. And that's the kind of people I think British Columbians are. We want to look out for each other, and we can host major events, but we can also look after each other. And that's the mission that we've got to accomplish.
We'll leave it there for today, Minister. I really appreciate you taking time with us, though.
Thanks so much, Amy. Have a great one.
You too. Spencer Chandra Herbert is BC's Minister for Tourism, Arts, Culture and Sport.